This morning, we want to separate fact from fiction when it comes to this shooting. These are the things that have been reported or maybe spread on social media about Ramos. So maybe you heard he damaged his fingerprints so he wouldn't be identified. Well, we can confirm that via our CBS News sources. So it goes in the verified column here. Police actually had to use facial recognition to identify him. There were also initial reports that officers on scene were investigating IEDs or simple bombs. We know now that is false. Police revealed the shooter did have smoke grenades when he entered the building, but no bombs. Also some rumors about the type of weapon the shooter used, that it might have been an assault type rifle. That also is false. Police say the gunman used a shotgun. And finally, his motive. Police say he targeted the Capital Gazette, but we don't know exactly why yet. So for now, motive is going to stay right here in the unverified category. We will have much more on this story ahead in our next half hour, including what the reporters inside that newsroom are saying about what happened. And remember, you can get updates anytime online at khou.com.